Throughout its history, a common subject for science fiction horror films involved the dangers of human experimentation. These stories of science going too far often featured careless humans somehow merging with animals or insects to form some new kind of monster. When it came to designing a possible humanoid insect for Darkstalkers, the initial concept was more of a mutated insect that uses other insects as a form of attack. When character designer Akira Yasuda submitted his concept for a bee woman, the idea was further refined and eventually led to the character's final rendition, which would come to be known as QB. According to Haruo Murata, QB is more of a class type than the name of an individual character. She is designed to be part of a race of bees who actively use camouflage to deceive their victims. For instance, at first glance, QB appears to have the face of a human on a bee's body, but in actuality, her eyes are not the ones on her face, but rather the disc-like ornaments on her head. This can be especially noticeable during her idol animation, where QB is angling her head down quite severely, almost to the point where her eyes cannot see her opponent very well. But since her eyes are on the top of her head, she is actually staring right at them. In fact, if she were to open her real mouth, her entire face would theoretically split open. Murata always found QB to be kind of a creepy character, so he didn't really think they needed to add her in the game. Character designer Bangus argued that if one were to look at her as a character designed by artist Shotaro Ishinomori, it's easier to understand how someone could perceive QB as being rather cute or adorable. Despite her petite build, QB possesses supernatural strength and the ability to immobilize her enemies with honey or summon other smaller bees to assist her in combat. Along with her ability to fly, she could briefly morph her body like an insect, such as growing a stinger out of her limbs, or turning them into a sort of pincer to slash at her opponents. In perhaps what is her most signature move, QB can lay an egg in her enemy, causing herself to die only to be immediately reborn through the egg she just laid. QB is the leader of a race of soul bees that reside in the demon world of Makai, particularly the lands belonging to the family of the demon lord Jedidoma. Naturally, the Q in her title stands for Queen, while the others in her race are classified as PB. One family of soul bees can generally consist of over 100 members, with females outnumbering males 4 to 1. Soul bees possess an intelligence level equal to a 4 or 5-year-old human, so they are at least able to carry on simple conversations, though it's possible for a QB to be relatively smarter. The ones raised to become the next leader of a family are those born with a honey capsule, which is an organ capable of concentrating and accumulating nutrition. These fortunate ones are raised to become the next QB, who then work to raise the next leader of the family. The soul bee race feeds off souls for sustenance, and due to their incredibly high metabolism, they must regularly eat in order to survive. During the time when Jedha was considered dead, their population was dwindling and on the verge of extinction. Once the Demon Lord is revived and creates a new dimension called the Majigan, QB notices a large amount of souls gathering within, so she travels inside along with her family to hopefully satiate their hunger. When they encounter Jedha, he promises to give them all the souls they could eat in exchange for their assistance in gathering the souls of powerful Darkstalkers to create his so-called ultimate being. In the end, QB betrays and kills Jedha, and her family gathers to create a large hive in the center of the demon world of Makai. From then on, the Soul Bee race no longer fear the danger of extinction, but instead, the inevitability of their overpopulation. Fans of the Darkstalkers fighting games consider QB to be one of the best characters to play, thanks to a number of advantages she has over her opponents. Unfortunately, outside of that audience, QB is often considered one of the least popular Darkstalkers, especially among the female cast, which, to be fair, contains some serious competition. Perhaps it has less to do with her design, which is still considered quite exceptional, and more with the fact that she's just not as immediately appealing or eye-catching as her counterparts. As a result, QB also shares some of the least significant appearances outside of the original games, where she was a featured character. Still, at least among those who are familiar with her, QB remains a well-designed and amazingly animated character, as she arguably features some of the best animation work Capcom's designers have ever done in the company's entire history.